Hello, my name is Ryan Knights, and today I'm going to take you through all the different menu options underneath the admin button and underneath the account button here. If you are new to this platform and you haven't seen the non-admin training video, I'm going to leave a link to that video in the description of this video here. I recommend taking a look at that one before you view this one. Okay, today the first thing I'm going to go over is how to assign a device to an asset and how to set up an asset. So an asset is every single one of these cards. Okay, and to set that up, you go underneath this admin button here, and there's one of two places. So one place would be underneath assets, clicking on this add asset button. Then you have to put in the serial number and the name of the asset. You could also do it from our unassigned devices list, which is how I'm going to do that today here. So I'm going to click on these column headers so I can see the most recent device added to this account here. This one was added today. So I'm going to click on this add asset button. Okay, first you want to give the asset a name. You want to use a consistent naming convention for all of your assets. So in this example, I'm going to name my asset 1-56821-541545. You want to fill in as much of the information as you know about the asset as possible. We use these fields to build groups automatically using the make, model, equipment types, equipment subtypes. So I'm going to copy the VIN in right here. These icon colors are displayed on the map. So some companies, they assign a specific color to a specific equipment type, or they might assign the colors based off a business unit. So whatever fits your company needs. So I'm going to select an image here. So it's nice to give an image to every one of the assets. We have a number of stock images in here that you can choose from, or you can upload a custom image. So I'm going to upload one that I have saved on my computer here. First, you just click on this Upload Custom Images button, then Upload Image. Okay, downloads. Okay, so here's a nice little image of the asset that I installed the device into. So we'll call it Mazda 6. You got to give it a name here. And then you have to agree that you own the rights to the image. Okay, so I'll click Save. And then it should be highlighted in green, whichever image you're using. And then hit Save. Okay, so some of this other information is filled out. I'm going to copy in the license plate. Fuel is going to be gasoline. Voltage is 12 volts. If you want to assign it to a group of assets, another group of assets, you can do that here, as well as whatever hierarchy account that it should be assigned to. You want to assign that in right here. Okay, so I'm going to give it an equipment type, light-duty vehicle. Okay, and subtype, sedan. Okay, next I'm going to go over, I'm going to skip this additional for now and come back to that one. Next I'm going to show you the source settings tab. All right, this is a critical tab that you want to make sure that you are filling out appropriately depending on the asset type. Now, if you're tracking something that doesn't have odometer or engine hours, like a trailer or a container or something like that, you can disregard this section. Now, I installed it into a light-duty vehicle, so whenever I can get odometer directly from the engine bus or the computer that's installed inside the engine, I would want to choose that as the source. Same for engine hours. If I can see the actual hour meter from the engine bus in here, then this would be the source I'd want to use. Now, if we are getting that data, it would be displayed right here. And then you can see in this example here, we're not getting anything from the engine bus for this asset. So my only options would be the device calculated sources. And for this example here, this asset doesn't actually, we don't need to track any engine hours for this one. I'm just going to track odometer. So I am getting speed from the engine bus. So I'm going to go ahead and update the source from the device calculated speed to engine speed from the engine bus. Okay, so since we're not getting the actual value from from the engine bus, you actually have, after you select GPS odometer as a source, you have to give the app a starting point. So whatever the odometer is right now at this point in time is the value you want to put in here. In this example, this car has 186,000 miles. So we're going to give that as the starting point. Now the device is just going to add to this mileage from this point going forward. Engine hours work the same if I was tracking engine hours, but I'm not tracking engine hours for this one, so I'm just going to leave this blank here. Okay, next I'll show you the additional tab here. So whatever information you have on the asset, you can go ahead and fill that information out here. Again, we can build groups dynamically using this asset information, meaning later on I'll show you how to do this, but we can build a group based off this equipment information. So if I wanted to, I could say create a group with all the light duty vehicles. And as long as I fill out this asset information in here, when I go to create that group, those assets would be automatically added to that group based off of the field information here. Okay, so that's why it's important to fill out as much of this information as possible. We use groups for reporting and alerts. So just some examples of where you would use some of this functionality. Okay, and last is documents. So you can upload documents. So this could be a parts list, a user manual, annual inspection or certification of some kind. You can put your vehicle registration in here, and this could act as a cloud storage service for your company. So any information that's specific to an asset, you can go ahead and upload that here, and we'll save it, and you'll have that online directory for those files. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save. All right, and this is my first asset here. Okay, next I'm going to go over groups. I mentioned groups just a moment ago, so I'll show you how to set those up. So that'll be underneath admin, groups, and this will show you all the groups in the account. So there's only one in this account here, so I'm going to click add group. Okay, I'm going to give this one a group name. So I'm going to call this one light duty vehicles. Okay, group description. This is a dynamic group that consists of all light duty vehicles. Okay, now you can assign users to a group and assets to a group. So you can do that manually just by clicking these drop-down menus in here and then coming in and selecting the users and the assets. Or like I mentioned earlier, you can automatically add assets to a group using our dynamic group feature. So if I click on this check mark here, I'll show you a little bit more, demonstrate what I mean. Okay, so the asset that we just set up was a light duty vehicle. It was a Mazda. So say I just wanted to see a group of all my Mazdas. I can come in here and I would left click on this field here and then come in here and drag and drop it. All right, so now I want to make, so any asset that has the make containing Mazda. Okay, if I click on preview here, it'll show me a list of all the assets that meet that criteria. In this account, there's only like 5 or 6 assets, and none of them are a Mazda except for the one I just made. So I'm only showing one asset here. You could also do this by, let me go ahead and remove this one. You could also do it by equipment type. So we'll say contains, you could also do it equals, not equal to, does not contain, or starts with. I'm going to say anything that starts with the word light, or actually let's do the whole light duty. So preview, again, there's only one asset that meets this criteria, but any future assets I were to add this to this account, if I were to put light dash duty into the equipment type field, they would automatically be enrolled into this group. Now that's a nice feature for enterprise customers that don't want to micromanage group assignments. And again, you use groups for reporting, for alerts. We use groups in our dashboards. You can also use groups to control which assets users can see. Now, I'm going to get into users right after this, but administrators can see all of the assets in the account, but non-admins can only see assets that are assigned to the same group or project. Okay, so I have this group here. You can have as many field names in here as you want. So I could add equipment type. You could also add assigned to. We also have different hierarchy accounts that could be listed in here. So a hierarchy could be different business units. It could be customers that you want to give access to our platform. We're going to go into more detail about account hierarchy also here in a second. That's actually the next thing I'm going to go over. But you can dynamically build groups based off of which asset or which hierarchy the assets are assigned to, as well as these field names. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and hit save to save this one. Okay, I mentioned how you can control which assets a user can see, a non-admin can see using groups. You can do the same thing using projects here. So to add a project, you click this add project button. And again, you can see that you can assign assets and assign users. You can actually assign locations to a project also, and then give it a start and end date. And then the only required field would be the project name. So if you want, you can control which assets a user can see, a non-admin can see using projects. Now again, administrators and restricted admins can see all of the assets that are assigned to the same hierarchy account. Okay, so I've mentioned hierarchy a few times, so I'm going to go over account hierarchy next. So that's underneath account, clicking on hierarchy here. Okay, in this example, if you click on the picture in the top right-hand corner, you can kind of see a picture of how we structure our account hierarchy. So at level 1, you would have all of the assets, but say you had two different companies underneath you. So say you were like a parent company, you had two other companies below you. You'd have all of the assets assigned to the parent company, and then each company would be its own level 2 account. And then I'm going to pull up a little slide here kind of showing how account hierarchy is used in our platform. Okay, so when you're using account hierarchy, you can control which assets a user can see using account hierarchy. So there's actually two different ways. You can use groups and projects like I mentioned before, or you can use account hierarchy. So when you're creating your account hierarchy, you can go up to different 5 levels, and then you can have as many account hierarchy accounts horizontally as you'd like. In this example here, so like I said, we had 2 different companies here. Now, say each company had its different regions. You could have like an East and West or Midwest, and then there might be individual branch locations below that. Now, say you had workers who worked at that branch, and you only wanted them to see the assets that were assigned to that same branch. You would assign those admins down to that level 4 or 5 level, and then assign those assets down to that level. Users and admins can actually be assigned to any number of these account hierarchies. So they can be assigned to level 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then as many horizontally as you'd like. Assets themselves can only be assigned vertically or shared vertically. So if I assigned an asset to this level 4 account, everyone in the parent account right above it and the parent account above that would be able to see that asset. But if you're over here on this side of the hierarchy, then you wouldn't be able to see that asset. Assets can only be shared vertically. Other things that can be shared vertically would be geofences or locations. So say a user at level 1 created a geofence, they could share that down vertically throughout the hierarchy to all the way to level 5 if they want. And then that location would appear in each of those hierarchy accounts. Preventative maintenance, if that's set up at level 1 as a schedule, you can also roll that down through the hierarchy. And then camera events, they display in every hierarchy account to any admins or restricted admins that have access to camera events. Now, what's not shared, and this is kind of what makes hierarchy both convenient and inconvenient depending on your company type. So drivers that are set up at level 1 can't be set up or can't be used in any of the other hierarchy accounts. Same with the alerts, projects, groups that you have set up. Contacts are basically distribution lists for alerts, and schedule reports and zones. None of this can be shared between different hierarchy accounts. So if you're an admin at level 1 and you want the users from each company or business unit, region, or branch to be able to see these alerts that you're setting up, you would need to set them up in each of those hierarchy accounts where you have those users set up. So that can be inconvenient for enterprise customers, but it can also be convenient. So let me give an example of say you have an end customer and you're renting out some equipment to them, and you want them to be able to use our application to set up alerts and see what their utilization of the equipment is. But you don't want them to have access to your alerts. You don't want them to have access to your groups that you have set up. This is a great use case for our hierarchy. If you just create another level, you create the hierarchy account, and then you assign that admin from that customer or end user company and that asset to that account, and then that gives them complete access to our application, lets them do have the full functionality, whatever they want to be able to do. And what's great is it isn't visible to the users at the top level here that are using the account. So you don't have you're not seeing their alerts, you're not seeing their projects, whatever they're setting up on their account it's up to them however they want to use it. Okay, so next I'm actually gonna take this down here, and I might refer back to this as I'm explaining how to set up the account. But next I'm gonna go over how to set up the users. Okay, so I'm gonna close out of this here and go underneath admin and users here. Okay, in this account I only have 5 users. I'm gonna go ahead and add a new user, and I'll go ahead and add myself. And I'm already in the system, so I'm just going to put a 1 after it. Otherwise, it'll prevent me from creating a duplicate user. Okay, all this information is optional. Now we have to set up, select the role type. So admins can see all the assets in the account. Admins also have all these buttons underneath the account, so they can set up locations, geofences, drivers, assets, you name it. Restricted admins only have access to these buttons if you check off these boxes next to them. So say you want a user to be able to see all the assets in the account without assigning them to a group or project, but you don't want to give them any admin controls. That's a great use case for this restricted admin here. You select restricted admins. Restricted admins can see all assets in the same hierarchy account, but you have to actually select these options off. If I would just not select any of these, and then this user would be able to see all the assets without having any of these admin functions. Now, non-admins, all of these non-admin role types are pretty similar. They have the same level of access, and they follow the same rule sets. So in this example, if I select non-admin, non-admins can only see assets that are assigned to the same group or project. So if you are setting up a user, you'd have to come in here and you actually have to select which groups of assets you want them to have access to. Okay, this account here only has one hierarchy level. So actually I'm going to show you how to set up in a hierarchy level so I can actually finish showing you how to set up this user. That's pretty much it for the user, except for how to assign it to a hierarchy account. I'm going to come back to that. You also want to make sure the time zone of the user is correct. Otherwise, all the times in the application are going to be displayed incorrectly. You can also use define your units of measure, your time format, and your date format here. So I'm going to come back to this user here. I'm just going to save him. Okay, and then I'm going to go back down to hierarchy real quick. I touched a little bit about the hierarchy. I forgot to show you how to set up the different levels and the different hierarchy accounts. So I'm going to finish showing you how to do that. So I'm going to add level 2, and we're going to call these companies. Okay. Um, Click save here. Okay, now I got the new level. To add for each level you want to add, you have to keep on adding this add hierarchy level here. In this example, I'm just going to keep it at level 2. And then to set up the individual hierarchy accounts here, you have to hit configure, add companies. So we'll say example company 1. And you got to come in here and select the assets that are assigned to that hierarchy account. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and save it. Okay, now that hierarchy account only has 3 assets assigned to it, but I have a level 2. You'll notice that my company now appears right here. It has the level number 3 inside of it, letting you know that there's 3 assets assigned to this company. 36 assets in the entire account here. Okay, now going back over to users here. Okay, here's the user I was setting up. Okay, going back over to security profile. You'll notice now that I have this hierarchy tree underneath the security profile section here. Now, users and admins can be assigned to as many hierarchy accounts as you'd like, both horizontally and vertically. And this expiration date, is whenever this date is reached, whatever you select in here, then this user wouldn't be able to access this account anymore. So this might be good for somebody you just want to give temporary access to. Okay, all right, now I've updated that user's access. You can switch between the hierarchy accounts that you're assigned to using this drop-down menu here. So this account's set up with the parent account and just one child account at level 2. So if I click here, it'll flip me to that account, and I can see the assets that are assigned to that account here. And then to go back, I just click here and click on the parent account again. Next, I'm going to show you how to set up drivers in our platform. Now you can do reporting based off of assets or based on drivers. So if you have drivers that are switching between equipment a lot and you want to see individual driver behavior, that's what this is for. So to set up a driver, you come over here and say drivers, click on driver there, and then add a driver. So I'm going to set myself up as a driver. Okay, I'm going to enable route optimization, and then I'm going to link my user ID to this driver ID here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and all these fields are optional. Like I said, I normally recommend you fill out as much information as you can. For time's sake, I'm just going to leave those blank. Hit save. And you'll notice that I have a linked user here. That means that this driver here is linked to my user profile in here. You need to do that so that way the driver can use the driver app. Okay, so that's how you set up drivers. All right, next I'm going to go over how to set up a geofence or a location. We also have zones in our platform here, and the major difference is that you can use zones to set up a zone exit or entry alert, but pretty much all the rest of the functionality is centered around locations. And zones can be as big as you want them, but we limit the size of the locations. And locations are used. We can tell you the time spent inside of a location. So we have a number of reports on dwell time using locations. We have the same alerts that we have for zones. We have the same alerts for locations. So location entry, exit alerts. You can also do a job site utilization report, which will show you the number of engine hours for each asset within a location. So basically, all the functionality we have built out is using locations, but because of all the reporting that we use with locations, we have to limit their size, which is why we have zones. So zones can be the entire size of a country, continent, however big you want zones to be. So first, I'm going to set up a location here. You have the ability to bulk import locations. To do that, you just click on this download template. So go ahead and open this up so you can see it. Okay, so when you're bulk importing, the only required fields is the address and the location name. So you would just fill that information in, out as many as you want to import. After you fill it out, you save this file, and then you come in here and click this import from template, and then you select the file here, and then it'll import and create all the geofences in the shape of a circle around whatever address you put in. I'm going to show you how to manually create the location now. So I'm going to click on this add location button. You can search by coordinates or by address. I'm going to put in our old headquarters, 95th Street. Okay. All right. So you can see it defaults to a circle. To make the circle bigger or smaller, you just left click on these little circles that you see at the edge here, and you drag them open or smaller or bigger. You can also move the circle by clicking on the center circle and dragging it around. I'm going to show you. You can actually draw the shape of it, of the location also. So I'm going to click on using polygon. Okay. You have the different views for the map down here. I'm going to switch to satellite view because I usually can see the parking lot a little bit better. Okay, so you just click on the corners of the shape, and don't worry, you can change the shape later on. I just want to get a basic outline now, so I have those 3 clicks, 4 clicks, 5 clicks here, so I have a basic rectangle shape, and then you can drag these little circles here to change the shape even further. Okay, once you have the shape you want, finish filling in the rest of the information here. The only other required information would be this location name. If you want to share the location vertically to the lower hierarchy accounts, you click on this shared button here. Then you come in here and select the level you want to share it down to, and then whichever hierarchy account. You can filter on our map based off of the location types. If you want to do that, you'd select the location type here. And then if you want to use routing, if you want to route to different locations, you want to make sure that the address is filled in correctly here. So that way people using our app can get automatically routed to the correct address. Okay, I'll go ahead and click save. Oh, I need to give it a name. Say Old Company HQ. We'll call this headquarters. Okay, I'll go ahead and click save. All right, there we go. Now we have a location made. Zones are similar. I'm not going to create a whole zone. I'll just kind of show you the user interface is about the same. You can come in here and I'm zooming in using my mouse wheel here. So we'll just call this a US zone. So you just come in here, polygon. I'm just clicking once, twice. Now, if I was really doing this with a real zone, I'd probably make it a little more accurate, but I'm just trying to get through quick here. All right, here we go. All right, United States. That's what I'll call this one. All right, and then save. I guess I will create this one here. Okay, next I'm going to go over contacts located underneath the account menu here. So contacts are kind of like a distribution list for alerts. So if you recall from when you were setting up an alert here, which I'll do that real quick, we have this contact section over here. So if I click add, you can give you can create a distribution list. So let's just say we wanted to send an alert notification to all of our maintenance personnel. I'll say maintenance team. That'll be the name of this distribution list. Next, you would go ahead and enter in all of your email addresses that are on that maintenance team. So we do example, let's see, maintenance man 1 at example.com. And then you would separate each email with a comma. You can also put in as many text message phone numbers as you want for text message notifications. After you get done entering in all the email addresses and phone numbers, you click the supply button. And then from that point forward, you'd be able to select from this drop-down list that same distribution list again, so that you don't need to re-enter in the email addresses or phone numbers. Now you can get to that same contact list down here underneath account where it says contacts here. So these are the two distribution lists that we have in this account. So one is for someone named Matthew Rupert. This is his email address and his phone number. So if any future alerts he wants to set up, if he wanted just to receive a notification via email and text message, he would select Rupert as the distribution list name. And then same can be done with this Matt and Brendan distribution list. You can actually create new distribution lists up here by this add contact button. This isn't for, it can be used for individual contacts, but like I said, this is also be used as a distribution list too. Okay, next we're going to take a look at the camera functionality available to admins. First, I'll show you how to live look at that camera. So any camera that's currently turned on, if you click on the asset card here, they'll have the live view button up here. For Surfside cameras, if they're not on at the moment, they'll have a wake up button, and then you can wake the camera up and then view it live. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this live view button here. And for Smart Witness, you actually have to choose if you want a video or images refreshing every second or so. So I'm just going to say video for this example. And as it loads, it should load about a 10 or 11 second video clip, just the most recent video clip. And then after it gets done playing, you have this refresh button down here. You can refresh it and it'll load a new 10 or 11 second video clip. So this is the previous 15 seconds of video from this camera here. And I can actually switch. There's only one camera installed in this vehicle, but you can have up to 8 for Smart Witness. And Surfsight, there's 2 different cameras, both forward facing and driver facing. You can switch between the cameras here, as well as switch between the assets here. Okay, I can expand this, make this bigger, or I can actually download this clip here too. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close out of this. Now say you have a Surfsight camera, and Surfsight cameras will actually capture distracted driving events, cell phone use events, no seatbelt. So whenever Smart Witness has other types of alerts, also like a shock alert, things like that. So these events can trigger an automatic upload of the camera video file. So, and those will be saved underneath this camera events right here. So if I click on camera events, any events that have been automatically uploaded will be displayed here. From here, I can actually request a camera, request video files too. So if I click on this request camera video, from here you actually select the asset here, and I can actually get the most recent 60 seconds to 120 seconds if I slide this over, and I can go down as low as 20 seconds. Or I can select a custom time. So say I knew that there was an event that happened yesterday at 3 p.m. I would come in here and select yesterday's date and then change the time. So this is at 2:53. I'd come in here and select 3 o'clock on the dot. And then I'd select the asset here, and then I'd click the submit button, and then it would request that camera upload that video clip here to the platform. And then once that's uploaded, it would be displayed in this view right here. Hyperlapse, this lets you pull longer clips of time, so I can go up to 10 minutes here, or up to 60 minutes here, and I can change the frame rate right here too. So hyperspeed, all you're doing right now is changing the frame rate. So this lets you view a large block of time all at once and scan through the video footage that way. So I'm not going to request the camera footage here, but this is how it's done here. Okay, next up, I'll show you the sensors button down here. This will just show you if any of the assets have sensors set up or not, and it'll give you the sensor name, the description, and the type of sensor. So we support binary input sensors on the ST4345 and the MC4, and we also have temperature sensors with our PT40 product. Okay, next we'll transition to customize views underneath this account menu here. So if I click on customize views, you can see it says grid, pop-up, and dashboard. So these are the three different views that you can customize. So real quick, I'll just show you where these views are. So we'll start with the grid menu. So if you're over here and click on open grid, okay, so this menu or this view here is customizable. So that means we can add and remove these data fields and rename them. Okay, the next view that's customizable is our asset dashboard. So you can get to that two different ways here. So under dashboards, it says asset dashboard here. You can also get to it just by clicking on one of these asset cards here and then clicking on this dashboard button. So they'll take you, both dashboard buttons will take you to the same spot. And then all of these fields that you see in this view here under dashboard is customizable. So we can actually modify these group separators here. So where it says location / address / GPS, we can change these header names. Okay, the last view that's customizable is this pop-up card right here, actually. So we can customize these 5 fields that you see in here. 6 fields, sorry. Okay, so I'll show you how to customize those field names. So we go back underneath account, customize views. And so any changes that you make to these views will affect all users in the account. So it's not just your personal view, it's everybody. So I'll start just in the grid menu here. So you can add different data fields from the available data fields section here by left clicking and dragging and dropping over here. And then you just sort in order wherever you want that data field to live. Once you drop it in here, you can, using these 3 button menu over here, you can modify the name. So I could say equipment subtype as an example. Okay, and I want to drop it below equipment type. Okay, so here's an example of how you modify and customize those views. You can do the same in the asset pop-up. So remember those 6 fields that we saw before. I can throw a subtype in here also. And in the asset dashboard. So here's these group separators. And then you can modify those just by clicking on these 3 dots over here. You can change the field names. Okay. All right. Next, I'll show you our API portal. So if you want to send any of this asset information, any of our report information, any information from our application to another software program, you do that using our APIs. So I'll show you just a little bit about how to use our APIs and what is available in our APIs. So first, all you'd have to do is come in here and click the sign up button. These are the only fields that you need to fill out. So after you fill this out, you can reach out to our customer support team, let them know that you requested the access. They should reach out to you too. Just as long as you put the right email address in here, they'll reach out to you also. So so let me sign in real quick. Okay. So the different API products that are available, I'll just briefly walk you through them. So we have our telemetry API. So this is just an API that you can use to retrieve information. We have directions on how to authenticate up here. And then I'll just show you a little bit about the different APIs. So I'm going to show you the get assets call here. And you can see these are all the different data that's available from this API call. This is all the asset information. And then starting from here, you see all the device information. And then we give you different code samples below. And you can actually see the API definitions here for every one of these calls. I'll just show you an example of the JSON. All right, so you can see in here the units of measure, and then the expected data. Click back here. We also have the reports data, so you could also come in here and get, this is our sensor reports. If I click on this reports here, it'll show you all of our stock reports. So really any data that you want from our application, you can pull into any other systems, Power BI, ERP systems, billing systems to automate billing. Lots of ways to automate business functions and tasks using our API portal. So that was our telemetry API, our admin API right here. So for enterprise companies that are constantly adding and removing assets, or maybe they want to do locations or geofences around job sites, you can automate a lot of that within the application using this admin API. So you can post new assets, get asset information, or delete assets, or any of the other admin controls in here. So automate your maintenance, add, remove locations, groups, drivers, and assets all in here. Down here, this data ingestion API. So you can set this up and then send data messages into the API using our ingestion API. And our synchronization API here is this will allow you to push all the messages that we're getting from the devices into another service. So if you just want to dump all of the messages that we're getting, all the raw messages into another platform, you can do that using this synchronization API. Last thing I'll go over here is under this account tab is integrations. Okay, so if I click on here, you can see any existing integrations. So we'll list, if you have a push service set up, we'll list that integration here. If you have any webhooks set up, you can actually set up webhooks here under add integration. So webhooks would be set up only for alerts. If you recall, when you're setting up an alert over here, one of the notification types is a webhook. To have that set up, you need to set it up under integrations first, and it'll send the alert content to that web address URL. So you come in here under integrations, add integration, put in the name of the integration, the URL where you want the payload to be sent, and then you can have a secret of a token secret of up to 100 characters here. Also, if you have any AEMP APIs available from one of your OEMs, like for Caterpillar, there's Vision Link. For John Deere, there's JD Link. Whatever the manufacturer is, they might have their own telematics device installed inside of the asset. And then if they have an AEMP or some other type of API, we can pull that data in from their server without having to install our own device. And if we do that, that integration will be listed in here too. Okay, thanks. So that's just about it. You can always get help underneath this help button here. You can go to our help center. You can send feedback or reach out to us for any assistance if you have any additional questions about anything. Thanks.